Hello.
Hello, hello.
Oh, we've got an echo.
That was some feedback. Oh,
That was definitely some feedback. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to I Want to Believe chat show, and I am Peter N, and we are with Chatty Cathy and the lovely Lynda.
Hello.
So this week, we are going to just continue on to where we were last week. We had a lot of good feedback in relation to our conversations, and it just appears that people don't like us bringing guests on. They like us just talking and waffling. So I think that we should just go with that and just see how it goes. But how's your week been, Cathy?
You know what? It's been good. It's been busy, getting ready for Christmas, and just work has been busy. Or my work, I guess, at home here, has been busy. Yeah, things are going really good. Yeah, good. How about you guys?
Lynda, how was your week?
Can't complain. Well, I can, because as I mentioned to you, Pete, before we started, I have to have a root canal. So that's how my week went. But other than the root canal, I think things are okay. Busy, really busy.
Good. Yeah, my week has been. I told you guys before we went online live, having some issues with some neighbours, but yeah, that's a different story. But we did a public presentation for a non-profit site, well, a heritage site just up the road in Vernon, and this week we actually had a one-to-one chat with the manager, and in 2022 we're actually going to be co-organising events like a paranormal camp, because they have a huge camping facility there that they have. They allow people in once for 30 days a year, like during the summer period and stuff like that. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be organising a weekend paranormal investigation tour of the site. And on this site, there's like 8 different houses with all different history and stuff like that. So we're working on that as well. And we've got, so there's definitely going to be a lot going on over the next little bit for us, for sure. We've also got, we're also going to be doing a number of paranormal presentations in the new year as well, because it's just gone they've just been inundated with people asking us when we're going to come back and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing we're going to be doing a few of those as well. So that's to come as well. So it's good. And then there are some other sites as well that are going to be interested in the same thing in the near future as well. So it's definitely been a constructive week in that respect.
That's fantastic. Is it going to be open to the public then, this event?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be like there's I think they said the camping facility there, it can hold up to 30 like trailers, tents. There's 30 plots around the site, and they're kind of scattered all the way around, and it goes around the whole site, and it's actually there's a row of them right near the cemetery, so that's kind of cool as well. So the plan being is that we're going to throw a dart at the calendar for next year. We're thinking just before July, because it will be that probably would be the best time in relation to forest fires and stuff like that.
Right.
Because we don't want kind of a relapse of what happened last year. So yeah, we're going to do that, and then advertise it, and it's really going to take off. Like, there's already people that I've already spoken to that are interested in doing it. Like, it's like everyone in Canada loves camping, and everyone everyone likes paranormal investigating as well. So you can just have a weekend of just camping and talking to spirits.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be lots of fun. So are there cabins too, or is it all just trailers?
No, it's basically just like a campsite. There is obviously washing facilities and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's primarily just it's just a ground where there's they've basically allocated different plots around it and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's very historic as well. There's there's a bit of a ghost town at the back of there as well, where there's old log cabins and stuff like that. So there's a lot to do for a couple of days up there as well. So we're just going to start planning it out and mapping out exactly what we're going to do, because obviously if we get 30 plots filled up, you can have like over 100 people.
Yeah.
So it's and each one of those are going to want a piece of the pie. So it's how we divide that up and how we allocate that. Each person getting in with the paranormal investigations and the tutorials or whatever we're going to be doing and stuff like that. But it's gonna be cool, and we're gonna have a huge, hopefully if the government permits it, we're gonna have a big fire there as well, like ghost stories around the fire and stuff like that. So
that's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
I gotta go and visit you. I have to go and visit you now. I'm gonna sit by the fire and listen.
No, guys. Like honestly, if you it's definitely going to happen 100% this year. Next year. This year, sitting out in like a foot of snow, singing "Kumbaya." Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
At least there's no forest fires, right?
No, that's true. Yeah, there is one thing to it as well. Yeah, there's no forest fires or heat waves or anything like that. But no, we're definitely excited. It's going to be It's going to be the very first kind of event that's ever happened.
Yes.
So I know of, and I started a thing a few years ago with like a haunted cruise, and I with a travel agent in Vancouver, but it never actually took off because we didn't have enough tickets to fill. And lo and behold, a famous paranormal investigator who we invited onto the cruise took the idea and did his own paranormal cruise.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not mentioning any names, Irish man. But anyway. Anyhow.
So I had something interesting happen to me this week. So I live right by a high school, and it, over the last, how long I've been here, few years, I've had my car hit twice, from high schoolers, just kind of coming around the bend and speeding. And if it gets icy, it's a one-way street. So smack, right? So I was in the kitchen the other day and I kept hearing in my head, you got to go move your car. Go move your car right now. And I was literally hearing this, and, I mean, it's been a few years, since the car's been hit. So I haven't really thought about it, all that much. But I just had this, I better go. And I said to my son, I'm going to go move the car. And he's like, well, we're going out in like an hour. Like, why are you going to move it? And I said, I just feel like I better move it. So go get my shoes on, get my jacket on. I'm walking out the door and I hear this screech of metal. And I look up, my neighbor's car got hit. Thankfully, it wasn't mine. I shouldn't say that because you don't want anybody's car hit. But it was just one of those, oh, okay, well, I guess I don't have to move my car now kind of moments. I went and grabbed pictures right away for the neighbor because, he's sort of a hermit and never comes out of his house hardly. So I was like, go over to his house. I'm like, yeah, your car kind of got hit. And he's like, oh, okay. But it was so weird. Yeah, it was just like one of those, I have to go move my car right now. I have to go. It was
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. So
and it was literally as I was walking out the door that this guy just plowed right into the car. And it's a write-off. The car is a complete write-off because the whole front end is like, tilted. So I was like, okay.
Did you know who did it?
It was just a teenager. Yeah, it was just a teenager coming around the corner, doesn't know how to drive. They think that they're they've got control of the road and it's icy, so yeah. Wow. It was kind of crazy day.
Definitely. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, we're going to carry on what we did, what we will continue. We're going to continue on from what we did last week. Yeah, I'll get that right. So I'm going to extend the topic of intelligent hauntings. I know from what we left off last week, we kind of dived through a couple of an example that we all had in relation to an intelligent haunting, and I just thought that we could probably expand on that a little bit more and maybe give some more stories in relation to other investigations where you guys have been on where you've gone, okay, that's an intelligent haunting. It's not residual or anything like that. That by far was a intelligent response. It was responsive to what was said or the actions you did at that time, kind of thing. So, Lynda, do you have any more stories that you can share with us?
I do. As a matter of fact, I was thinking as you were talking about the local art gallery up here where I live in Georgina. We had some reports of things happening at the art gallery. Some of the camp counselors in the summer camps were mentioning that they were hearing footsteps in the upper gallery where most of the paintings are displayed. But there were things happening in the art rooms where the children's activities usually occur in the basement. So we went in and we wanted to see what was going on, and they invited us to come and just take a look. And well, long story short, there are 2 bathrooms. They're adjoining in this particular children's area. So it's the studio in the basement. And we have a clairvoyant on the team who has come in very handy. And it was very interesting because whatever spirit it was, and she believed that it was a spirit of a little girl who didn't want to leave, who had grown up in the area and really loved watching the children do their artwork. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But we got direct responses. For example, we would say, all right, Emma, could you make, and the child's name was Emma. So there you go. Emma, could you make the bathroom on the left a little bit colder? And sure enough, in response, the bathroom got colder, which was kind of interesting by a few degrees. And then we would say, all right, could you make the right bathroom a little colder now, Emma, just to let us know that you're here? Sure enough, that bathroom got a little colder. And our clairvoyant was having a conversation with her, which was kind of nice. But she, in effect, she was there because she really likes to watch the children draw and paint and likes to interact with them. And so I was asking, well, how does she interact? And she just wanders around and walks around and looks at the drawings. And because I actually facilitate a lot of art programs there, now, of course, that's on my mind every time I set up the children's art program. But it's true. The atmosphere changes down there. And definitely there's something down there that you can converse with. I mean, we were getting hits on our EMF. We were getting all kinds of stuff going on. We got some voices on the spirit box, and it was interesting to see the reaction. I mean, when you talk to a spirit and you ask them to do something and they do it, that's when you think, oh my God, this is unbelievable. This is cool.
So just to kind of expand on that, what do you think, like the years of experience, the years you've been in the field and stuff like that, how do you think that they are there? Like, how are they placed in our reality? Are they actually in our without using that corny word, dimension or anything like that? But are they actually in our proximity, or are they kind of in a parallel dimension, I guess, or kind of in another world kind of thing? Sorry, God, it's been a long week.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean too. I often think about that myself because with my experiences in actually speaking to an intelligent spirit, it's almost as if they're able to come and go from their reality into our reality. And it's interesting. It's like they're there, but remember how people always say, well, there's a veil between this world and that world. Mm-hmm. I feel that there is something that prevents them from coming through, unless, of course, they will it to be so, or we ask them to come through in some way. But I do think that they're able to interact with our reality, but they do live, I know, Pete, this other dimension thing. But I think that they do reside in perhaps a parallel universe. I don't know, but it's definitely close to ours, if not right here with us. And I mean, throughout, reality, people have said absolutely. I mean, they interact with us, we interact with them. They're here. It's just that we can't see them. So I don't know. Is it an alternate reality? Is it our reality, but just thinly separated by this veil? I don't know. It's hard to know.
There's been a lot of correlation of names that I've got over the years from different investigations, and a lot of the times you just get one name, and you try and put 2 and 2 together and make 10 out of it, and you can't. There's no puzzle, and all you're doing is just it could be him, it could be that Jack, or it could be that Sam, or anything like that. But then all of a sudden you get this completely random name that comes through that has no significance to the building or the surroundings whatsoever, and you're like, okay, then, and you take a step back and you're like, okay, is this someone looking in from another dimension that's doing the same shit that we are? They're sitting in the room. A guy called Sam is sitting in the room, and he goes, "Hi, my name's Sam, and can you please give us your name?" And there's me sitting there going, "Yeah, I'm Peter. Can you give us your name?" kind of thing. And it just makes you kind of wonder that, because I've had we were actually talking about this recently, because we did an investigation last Saturday, and we actually got a response in an older house, the CUNT word, like that came through. Wow. And it was clear as a bell, and it was like it was faint, but you could hear it. Like there was no noise pollution or anything like that. It was just a straightforward. You could hear a guy just draw it out with a deep breath. It was like all the way through kind of thing, and it was 100% that word. And you were like, well, okay, let's take a step back from this. If this was indeed something that was from that particular time where that house was, the haunting was supposed to be projecting from, would that word be around at that time? And it kind of spindles into those questions. But then again, would it be someone that is sitting in the living room where we are right now in about 20 years' time, shouting at TV, saying that word?
Right.
So, without without going too deep and stuff like that, we just don't know. And it's like, is that really Casper the Friendly Ghost, or is it just like another dimension where we were actually communicating with someone that is, somewhere over the other side, kind of thing, that in a different passage, as I say.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, got well off track with that. Jesus. You know what that'd be? That kind of conversation would be like for if you guys ever come over for the camp, and we can all sit around a campfire and get stoned and just. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. That was no.
Oh my god! Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
Oh, hang on. This is. Oh, Russell. Hello, Russell. So we had incredible. Oh yeah. Okay, so Kathy was there as well, Russell. Yeah. Do you remember Russell that was there?
Yeah.
So Kathy was there as well.
This was at the Maritime Museum, right?
Yeah, Maritime Museum in Victoria. Yeah. And we were in the hanging room, and that's where I got a picture of the lady. Another lady in white. They're always lady in whites, aren't they?
Yeah.
A lady in tartan or anything like that. But so it was. Yeah, we were doing an EVP session in there, and it was. I thought it was a courthouse, Russell, but anyway, I could be wrong. But we were in there, and we all of a sudden, where it was like dead silence, and I got this voice. I had my headphones on, and I got this Irish voice saying, "You watch your fucking tongue," like that. No, sorry, he didn't say the effing word. So I got a bit too excited when I went up there. But he goes, "You watch your tongue," like that, and it was just like I heard it as clear as a bell, and Russell was just sitting there. And Russell, no disrespect, you're probably sitting there just thinking about food because that's all you normally do. And it was just like, and he was like listening to it. He was like, yeah, blew me away, and it was again that example of an intelligent, because that was responsive to the question I asked, that kind of thing. But that was a great place. I loved that. I love that place. It was so. I think a lot of it is to do with the artifacts in there were like all British and English, and the Begbie and stuff like that, and it all kind of it's all British stuff, and that's probably why I felt warm to the place. But so, Kathy.
Yes.
Give us another example of an intelligent haunting that you've been on.
Okay, so we were doing this investigation at it was a museum out in Sherwood Park here in Alberta. And it was interesting because there had been a lot of reports. Now, this museum used to be an old jail as well. So it was, I think, the original jail in Sherwood Park, and they had closed it down. There was a lot of stories behind it and the whole bit. But we had gone there, and now here's the thing: is that we didn't get anything too crazy throughout the night. It was more or less those intense feelings, especially when you went down into the jail area. You just, it's that hard to breathe type of energy. You're just, okay, I don't feel good. I want to get out of here. You can, you swear that you're picking up EVPs. We were picking up EVPs the whole bit. And then at one point we decided, okay, we're going to, take a break, go sit in the lunchroom, have something to eat, have a coffee, chill out, kind of gather, our next move. Where are we going to go next in the museum? And all of a sudden, from in the museum, we heard this scream, this woman just screaming. Now, all of us were in the lunchroom, all of us. And we heard this screaming. We all just kind of stopped and we just dashed down the hallway to where the screaming could. Now, no one else was in the building whatsoever. And it was definitely coming from inside. But we decided, okay, well, let's take a look around outside just to be on the safe side. Let's rule out everything. There was nobody around. It was close to a field. You got the highway down below, but the museum itself is up on a hill. So you might get the faint highway traffic, but not like a scream that's coming right from the building. And so we couldn't find anything. We continued the investigation. It was the typical, you got the footsteps, you got the knocks when you asked for them. It was all fairly straightforward, right? Except when you went down into the basement, and that's where you're getting those heebie-jeebies, but you're also getting the EVPs that are coming. You're almost positive you've got those EVPs. So we're excited because we left the recorders and everything going when we had that scream going on. Now, we had several different cameras. Most of them were not attached to the DVR. So they were separate, from the DVR. Same with the audio. They were all separated from each other. They were all individual. So we were excited. We couldn't wait to get home, start looking through the evidence. Everything, every single recorder, every single audio was pure static. Everything. We didn't catch one damn thing. There was nothing. This was on our individual recorders that we had kept with us. It was on this, the freestanding cameras, audio, everything was wiped out. Absolutely everything. There was nothing that we could catch. It was kind of crazy. And some of the rumors were that somebody had been in the jail, like one of the jail, the people that resided in the jail had been a pretty nefarious type of character. And he was one of the ones that was causing a lot of the issues going on. So, at the end of it, we had a good time that night, I guess, if you want to call it a good time feeling like that. But for sure that things were happening. We just wish that we had been able to catch, and there was nothing, nothing. Everything was wiped.
So without putting you on the spot, what makes you think that was intelligent over residual? That's great.
Because of the fact that it did respond to if we had asked for knocks or moves. Even at one point, we'd even asked, for some sort of proof, a door slammed. You could hear the footsteps. So there was the, intelligent going on. There was the responses when we did ask for them. It was quite, I don't know what the word is. I want to say aggressive. Okay. So when you're asking for something to be moved, usually you're hearing, or a no, like something gentle. This was a slam of a door. And then, of course, the scream was, like a blood curdling kind of scream. Like it was somebody just like in trouble. Definitely a female scream, but a female scream in trouble. And we all thought, holy crap, like, did somebody break in? Like, what the hell? We made sure we locked the door. Like, we just ran. Doors were all locked, windows closed, everything. So
crazy. So
yeah.
Actually, when you say scream, and because Russell was a part of Vancouver Paranormal Society, God, probably about 5 or 6 years, and we did like a number of investigations together. Russell's actually he's from the UK originally as well. But it was, you actually mentioned about the screaming and stuff like that. We did Steveston Harbour. I think I spoke about this before, which was the original gateway from China to the West Coast. Okay. Way back at the when the not founders when they first came over from Europe and stuff like that, they were using Steveston as one of the main gateway to Western Canada. And we were the very first day we were there, we got, I met the guy and his name was Joel, and we were in one of the offices, and Steveston Harbour has a number of different buildings all the way around. Like they have different fabrication buildings and stuff like that. There still works, all different types of things right by the harbour, and obviously boats there as well. So we're walking over to the main harbour, and Joel's walking along, and he said, "I'm going to take you to the harbour first, and we can work our way back." And it was the funniest thing ever, because he turned around and he said that he goes every now and again, he said that we get a lot of people that stay on the boats. They can hear it like a blood curdling scream.
Oh,
like being heard. So, and we left the office and he locked it up. We got about 15 meters away from the office, and we all heard it. We heard like that, and I kind of jumped back like that, and I looked at Joe and I said, "You're fucking with me, ain't you?" And I thought and he looked at me like that, and he just went, "What?" And he went, "No, that's a noise." And I went, "Okay, is it a fox?" And he went, "No." And I said, "What's over that way?" He goes, "That's a harbour." He said, "That is where." He goes, "That's where the noises come from," and it's where that harbour is like a hub where when people throw themselves off the bridge in the Fraser River, they get swept up down by the harbour, and that's like a net of where all the bodies wash up is around that area in proximity. But Russell heard a scream as well when he was actually inside the main office as well, where he walked in there on his own and went into the washroom, and he just before he went into the washroom, he heard a scream as well. So, but the story about that being intelligent, we investigated that place for about 3 to 4 years. Like all the boat, each of the harbour had different characteristics, and I explained before there were certain parts of the harbour that would get livelier certain parts of the year. Like it was always in that certain month. But we did an investigation in the main office again, where Russell heard the scream and stuff like that, and we did a night one, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I can't remember, Russell, whether you were with us or not or anything like that, but it was at the day where I went out and spent thousands of dollars on DVR cameras and stuff like that. So of course I'm the one that puts it out, and I'm the one that brings it back in. I have to pack everything up unless Russell was there. I'm going to add that bit, otherwise you're going to kick my ass for saying that, Russell. But I was tidying up. I was picking up the DVR cameras, and I bent down and I was putting stuff into my case, and I felt like a flicker in the back of my hoodie, and it was just like, and it was the weirdest thing ever. So I kind of lodged it off and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm carrying the bags outside, and I can't remember exactly where I felt it, but we walked outside, and then we walked back, and we got into the car, and it was just when I was getting into the car, I felt like a weight on my shoulder, and I put my hand in my hoodie, and I pulled out an old 3p piece. We called it in the UK like a threepence, and it was a UK coin. It was generated in like in Britain, but it was back in the late 18th centuries, it was common currency in North America because obviously the founding fathers were coming over, and they were still using like pounds and stuff like that, pounds and cents, no, pounds and shillings as common currency, and that landed in my hoodie, and it was like, how could that even happen? Like things like that. And I actually have that 3 pence piece. That's actually in the drawer down there somewhere. But yeah, it was just totally blew me away. And again, if that can't be a coincidence, could it? Like something like that.
Yeah.
Or something was there intelligent that did. And
somehow place this.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue the fact it was up in the T-bar ceiling and a mouse went along and kicked it through the T-bar, stuff like that. Or the fact that someone could have been hiding under a desk and just gone, thrown it at me and back under the desk again. But there's too many parallels and stuff like that. And it's just like, it was intelligent 101 for sure.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. What's that? Another phone call.
Phone call, Peter. Remember the phone call, the lady screaming. We're not supposed to be talking about my ex-girlfriend on here. Russell. I think that was one of the other things that had happened at Steveston Harbour as well, I believe. Crazy place. Okay.
Wow, that's funny.
So, okay, moving on.
Actually, Pete, I have a really funny one. Come to think of it, I was doing a walkthrough. This is years ago. This lady had been pushed and scratched. And anyway, let's call her Evelyn. For the sake of argument. We'll call her Evelyn. With my luck, she's watching this. Anyway, it was very interesting because she was one of those women who talks incessantly, one of those people who just does not shut up, and lovely as anything, but God, I could talk your ear off. So I had gone on a walkthrough, and she was showing me all of the very active places in her house, and these are the stairs that I was pushed down, and this is where I was scratched, and I had my tape recorder going. So, and we were there for, oh my God, I'm going to say an hour and a half and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, when I played the tape back, it was hilarious because obviously intelligent. What I got was, shut up, Evelyn. I mean, clearly, absolutely clear. Shut up, Evelyn. And then I remember close to the end, it sounded exactly like, oh, for the love of God. And I thought, that's hilarious. Obviously, the spirit is not like this woman and can't deal with this woman. It was so funny. So obviously very intelligent.
I was working in a place a few years back, actually. And it was around the time that we were pretty busy doing investigations. We used to do them on the weekends when the store was closed. But I used to work in it was like a hairdressing distributors, like where wholesale distributing, right, for beauty products. And we always sort of felt like, I don't know how to, like something was just wrong with the place. Like, you know what I mean? Like there would be times like, you're alone in the store, but you could swear that somebody was shopping. It was like, you'd have to go and double check, right? And it wasn't a huge store. It wasn't like a size of Walmart. Like we're talking, probably 3 or 4 aisles, but it wasn't a large place. And you'd be in the store and you're getting ready, closing up the shop, and you would swear you could hear something walking around the aisles, and you'd be like, no, I know I kicked everybody. I know nobody's here. Right. And then every once in a while, I remember I would be talking with my coworker, and again, it would just be the two of us in the store. And all of a sudden you would hear a bottle of shampoo just go on the floor, or, that nice thunk that, that you're going to have a mess to clean up of liquid everywhere from one end, and sticky liquid. It's not just like liquid. And or you would go down the aisle and the bottles of the shampoo would have the tops all off of them.
Oh, wow.
But again, you had already checked the store, that nobody was in there. You're counting the cash, you're getting everything ready, you had already checked everything, stocked everything, and you're about to go turn off the lights, go into the back room. You have to walk through the store, and as you're walking down the aisle, you're like, the fuck. Yeah, it was interesting because it was even customers that were noticing stuff. Like they would be like, I think I'm crazy. Like I just put my basket down on the floor here and it's gone. And they would be in another aisle. Like literally, like this was happening all the time. And it was, even the customers noticed it. It was kind of crazy. We never investigated it. But of course, you'd have to get permission, from head office and all of that stuff, like to do anything. So you couldn't really go in. But there was another spa, which was interesting because we weren't a spa, but there was a spa that we had investigated. And I can't say the name because again, it was, there was corporate headquarters and stuff like that. But they had all kinds of interesting things going on, that they would go in, make a bed, one of the massage beds, go back into the room. The whole bed is like, all over the place, sheets all over. But I'll tell you something. We did investigate a department store. Again, I can't say which one, but we were called in by security for this very large department store. Now they have cameras, in the ceilings that can pretty much look up your nostrils if they really want to. Like, they have so many, like nobody's getting away with anything in this store. Okay. So, and it was interesting because, the security had called us and they said, look, can you just come and watch this? Because we don't know if we're crazy, if we missed something, but we need, we've got permission from the manager to bring you in. We can't do anything official. We can't, do an investigation because we'd have to, again, go through massive corporate, things. But it was interesting because what it was you could see the lady. So it was in the beauty section where they keep all the razors and everything's locked up. And you see her putting the lock on. She had opened the thing, showed a customer a razor or whatever it was, put it back in, locked it up. And all of a sudden you see the lock itself go like fly in the air, just across. It hits the elevator and flies back.
Wow.
And the clerk was just like, you could just see her face like, holy shit. And she just walked away really fast. Right. But I guess apparently she had been accused of not locking up. And that's why they had called. And we were like, okay, well, that obviously was not human. I mean, we don't know what that, not human element like us being able to throw something like that, because you could just see this lock literally just, she was back face towards it, but the lock just went like that, just flew in the air.
That's so
flew in the air. It was crazy. Wow. It was crazy. Yeah.
That could very well be our next subject. Poltergeist. So poltergeist is German for noisy ghost. Is a type of ghost rarely has physical form, but is responsible for physical disturbances such as loud noises and objects being moved or destroyed. Common examples of poltergeist activity are objects being thrown, doors slammed, furniture is moved, bangs or knocks on walls, hard surfaces, faucets, taps going on and off, electronics being turned on and off, physical attacks as well. That is often categorized under poltergeist activity as well, and scents and odors as well is also a parallel to poltergeist activity as well. Theories behind it. There's different theories in relation to it. A lot of people tend to bring the definition of poltergeist within the category of perhaps intelligent hauntings, but they are generally more so. They're generally general thought regarding poltergeists, and the belief is that these events are caused by subconscious mind and center around an individual. They are, in effect, psychokinetic activity brought on by emotional or physical trauma or abuse over time. That is generally what the definition was, but obviously over the years with the various shows that have been on TV shows, it's been brought out of category in relation to what it actually is. So, question time, ladies. So, have you, in your time as being a paranormal investigator,
Poltergeist got your tongue.
yeah, no. Have you ever experienced poltergeist activity, Kathy?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about that actually in your book, the new book that came out. I don't know if you have a copy. If you want to do a promotion right now, I've got one, but it's in the other room.
I'll see whether we've got it on the banner. Hang on, go on, carry on.
Yeah. So I do talk about that in that book, and that's where we had, the Barbie dolls in the house. Some of the other things that had gone on in the house itself, though, was I classified, I guess, under the term of poltergeist because it took me a few years of thinking back, covering up Lynda. It took me a few years of thinking back and really beginning to understand what the different hauntings were. Is I realized that at the time of all of this happening, I was in a place of extreme stress. I was going through a divorce. I was working like 3 different jobs. You're trying to, just pay your mortgage, pay your bills. You've got a teenager who's going through hormones. You got, everything else, right? So it was one of those time periods where I was under a lot of stress. And, it's interesting because there used to be a joke back when I was, like 18, 20, 21, where it was this joke that I would hear. I didn't hear about it at first, but it was later, where the people were like, "Don't piss off Kathy." Just don't piss off Kathy. Every time she's pissed off, we have to change a light bulb. And it was true, right? If I was in a like real high state of being upset or being, whatever, like you're bartending, of course you're going to have high emotions at times, especially if it's busy. But, if at the end of the night, I was sort of in a place of, 18-year-old drama or whatever was going on in my head, I would go to turn off the light, and sure enough, so it became kind of a joke. Just at the end of the night, just make Kathy happy. Like just keep Kathy happy. You don't want to piss her off, right? But so it took a few years, again, of investigating and really starting to learn about some of these things that I started to realize, I wonder if I'm the creator or if I created the activity, or at least a good portion, if I contributed. Maybe I wasn't all of it. Because I don't think I'm moving Barbie dolls around while I'm at work, with my head, but there was enough stuff while we were at home that would happen. I remember my daughter and we all kind of stayed together all the time, pretty much, if we were in the house, just simply because we were literally scared of going room to room to room. And especially my little one, she was only about 4 or 5 at the time. And she, I remember she would be in the bathroom with me while I'm getting ready for work, curling my hair, putting on my makeup, and she would just sit there and kind of play on the floor or whatever she was doing. And we would hear the rustling going on in the living room. We could hear rustling, but I always kind of thought, oh, it's probably the dogs. Like you don't really think about it because it's normal house activity, like the dogs moving around, for instance, or, maybe one of the cats, saw a stream of light. Like, so you're not consciously thinking about it. But then we'd walk into the living room and the videotapes were stacked up. And you were like, oh, okay. How does this happen? And and my daughter would be like, I just want to move. And I'm like, I want to move too, at this point, which we ended up doing. But there was just so much activity all the time, it felt like. And it just got to a point where, you know, and it's funny because as soon as we did move and all the stress was gone, you know, I sold the house. I got to work one job instead of three, you know, because the new house that I bought, way less mortgage. Like, I mean, it was just like, you know, everything was just, phew. And you get back into that place, you know, of calm and peace. And things were fine. Like, we moved to the new house, things were fine. Everything was good. I mean, we've had activity over the years here, but different activity. It's not that scary kind of activity. So,
Right.
I always kind of assumed, you know, later on, I was like, I bet you anything that was that had more to do with poltergeist activity than it had to do with maybe something actually in the home, because the neighbors that had been there for years before had never had anything happen. The neighbors that are there now never had anything happen. It was us. So,
Yep. 100%.
Just like a movie.
just like the movie. Just like a movie.
It does. It's
Yeah.
parallel to a lot of cases that I've read over the years as well. That kind of scenario,
Mhm.
and you know, there are some movies like the Enfield Poltergeist. That was dragged out of content because obviously it was a TV show and stuff like that. But it's all categorized under the same similar
Amityville.
scenarios to what you explained as well.
Mhm.
So Lynda.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember. Yes. No, I remember a case that happened in the 80s, and it was in Richmond Hill, Ontario. And I do remember when the lady had called me. She was a single mom. She had a son who was 12. And they had everything sort of happened at once. You know, the divorce happened. She was going through a lot of angst and all of that. And her son, of course, was trying to adjust to the new situation, just living with mom. Dad wasn't in the picture anymore. And she contacted me and was telling me about these classic poltergeist things. You know, they go down in the morning and all of their kitchen cupboards are open, all the drawers are open. And classic, you know, like you said, the videotapes that were all stacked up, things like that. But mostly it was things being moved in the kitchen, the drawers being opened, bathroom, you know, the toilet seat was up, the drawers were open, everything was all over the place. And she was really afraid. So, you know, I went over with my trusty notebook and all of that to try and make some sense out of it. And this truly was your classic poltergeist case, whereby when you ask the client, you know, to break it down, to, you know, tell me exactly when these things happen, what were you feeling at the time, when are they happening, what the atmosphere was like in the house. It was very interesting because when you talk about a poltergeist being an outward manifestation of an inner angst or turmoil or something like that, this is a classic case of that, because it happened when the son, and it wasn't the mom in this case, it was the son, was there and was experiencing some really horrible anxiety. This is when these situations would occur. And the way that she realized this was when her son was not home. He had gone to a sleepover, and she had a notebook and she was writing down when all these things were occurring. That entire weekend, nothing happened. Zero, zilch, nothing. And then she realized that when he wasn't in the house, that nothing occurred. But every time he came home, everything was occurring. So we put 2 and 2 together, came up with 4, thankfully. And it was great because she got some help for him. So he did have a counselor. He was able to harness a lot of his emotions, and able to control his emotions very, very well, come to terms with what was going on around him. But that was the classic case of a poltergeist, which is, as I said, an outward manifestation of inward anxiety, stress, angst, whatever that was. So, and you're right, Pete, like now people don't really define a poltergeist in those terms.
No, it's categorized. You know, they drag it under the car. They drag it towards more like intelligent hauntings and stuff like that. Or when they do say poltergeist activity, it has no parallels to, you know, being generated by us. You know, that psychokinetic energy, that kind of thing. more than anything else. So I've had probably a handful of encounters where I've physically seen something physically move. But one, I'll bring it more towards Canada, because the majority of them are actually in the UK. But we did, when I joined the Vancouver Paranormal Society, just before I took over, we did an investigation in Maple Ridge, BC Lower Mainland, and the group at that time, they kind of had a more different structure to what I would do in regard to an investigation. They were kind of, oh, let's just sit around the table and just ask a few questions and see what happens, that kind of thing. But the story was with the woman. She was going through a really rocky time. She broke up with her husband. Caught him cheating. She contacted a friend of hers, who then contacted us and said that there's things going on in the house. She can hear voices, her name being called when she's asleep. The run-of-the-mill stuff that we hear from different investigations and stuff like that. And she also mentioned that she actually visibly saw things move, like around in the basement area. So we went there, and we probably investigated that place 6-7 times, because we were getting EVPs, and they were just spitting them out, and there was no correlation to the questions or anything like that. It was just like random EVPs, and we were like, I just joined a new team in Vancouver, and I'm getting to meet all these friends and stuff like that. So we kind of used it maybe as a social gathering. All of these investigations we were on, the woman was never present until the very last investigation we were there, and we said that we wanted to do a stopover all night and leave the next morning. So she's like fine and stuff like that. So there was me and another guy. We were in the basement where all these things were happening, and we were sitting down. He was on the sofa, I was on the chair and stuff like that. So she called down and said, "Do you guys want drinks and stuff like that?" Yeah. So she comes down with and we were eating chips, of course, with EVPs and stuff like that. That's great.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Yeah, this is great. And I think the whole element of investigations went out the window. But we were, we were in there. She came down and she gave us a bowl of chips, and she gave us some pop and stuff like that. So she just walked out, and then she turned around and she said that, "Did you see the door shut?" And I looked over, she was standing in the doorway, and there was a door right at the end of the hallway, and I could just see the door close. And I said, "No, I didn't see it." So I thought straight away that the furnace kicked in, So I've gone up and I've examined the door and stuff like that. I said, "Oh, we'll just keep an eye on it." So we sat down, and she was still talking and stuff like that. And then she said, "Well, I'll leave you guys to it, and I'll go and see the guys upstairs." So she walked away, and she said, "Do you want me to shut the door on the way up to the top of the basement?" And it was like, "Yeah, yes, please," like that. So we're sitting in a chair, and my co-investigator looked at me and went like that. It's like she was wasting her time and stuff like that. He was getting kind of a bit frustrated. So no sooner as she shut the door, on the coffee table there was a pack of cards, and the pack of cards, not just one came off, they just flicked off into different directions. And they're like, when you're at a table and the card player's throwing them down on the table, and they were just sparring off into different directions. And I'm just like, and that was it. And then nothing, that was it. That was like of course we were wired for the whole night. We're sitting there like that. But the whole night, I didn't sleep a wink or anything like that. And we got up the next day, and I said that, and I mentioned the fact to the person who was in charge of the group at that time that, it could be a parallel towards her, being poltergeist and stuff like that. No. It's just an intelligent haunting. I took a step back and I was like, yeah, I'm right. But consequently, she met a guy, got happier and stuff like that. And all the activity stopped, even the voices and stuff like that. But the voices were more, the voices that we heard were 100% residual, like completely random noises, random sounds at different times, that kind of thing. So
that's pretty crazy. It's amazing how. Yeah, but honestly, I don't know if I like the idea of them categorizing the poltergeist into the intelligent haunting. for me, like whenever, even now, you know, when somebody says poltergeist, for me, I think of it as some sort of created energy, I guess I want to say, like self-created energy. That's the way I've always looked at it. And so when you're hearing people try to compare it to, like you know, you had said intelligent hauntings, it confuses me.
It's not that. It's the fact that people don't know, Kathy, and that's the thing as well. They categorize it as a poltergeist activity. But what they're effectively describing to you is in fact an intelligent haunting, and it's not. And it's not. You know, it's not that poltergeist activity is to what.
It's almost like they're trying to make it sound scarier. You know, well, like
I guess that's TV as well. Like they wouldn't. You know, like you get like Bilbo Baggins on TV and stuff like that, and he's describing something that happened to him as poltergeist activity, and it's not. It's just something that's just you know, something just brushed past his arm, or you know, there's a little orb flying past the TV and stuff like that, and that's basically it. There was a comment here. Hi everyone. Hi Linda. This is Tony.
Oh, no.
Just heard a big bang. She thought I threw something and I didn't. We found a bottle of honey on the floor. I think my friends are back. Oh dear.
Great. Lovely. This is, oh my gosh. So this is my friend Tony, who has had hauntings in her home for years and years. And it's almost as if they go away, they come back. I can't find there's any negative. Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, Tony has had hauntings forever, and they seem to go away. They come back, and it's almost as if, you know, her house is a freeway.
Right.
And I'm sure you've had cases like that too, where it's the house. It's like there is some energy in that place that just attracts whatever is passing through. And whatever is passing through seems to want to stay for a while, but then it'll go. So, and I don't know. She also got a new cat, so it could be the cat. You never know.
Cat giving off all kinds of different energy as to what cats do, stuff like that. Crazy. It just seems like with poltergeist, the way it's defined, it just seems to be its own science itself. That it is, you know, it could be more of a subject that could be closer to science to what we know, as being like Casper the Friendly Ghost and stuff like that, because it's, you know, effectively it's energy, you know, subconscious energy, or, you know, psychokinetic energy that's being dispersed out of our body. And there is more parallels to that with science than what there is for, you know, things like ghosts and stuff like that, because it can be, you know, there is parallels in it as well, that kind of thing. There's a lot of feedback coming from someone.
I noticed that. We have a poltergeist somewhere here too. Maybe.
Is it coming from mine? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Weird.
Huh.
I seem to be okay.
Hang on. Go on mute, Kathy.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah, it's Kathy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you, Kathy.
I'm causing the feedback.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're almost done anyway.
That's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. So I was going to jump onto the next subject, but I think that will probably take us into probably another hour. So
what was the next subject? Now I'm curious. I want to know.
It was portals.
Oh my God! You mean like my friend Tony's house that seems to be a portal?
Yeah. No, it was. I was gonna jump straight to Inhuman Hauntings after, so we were gonna. We could probably quickly jump through that. So, Inhuman Hauntings. If I remember this correctly, inhuman spirits are entities which have never lived as a human. Inhuman spirits have been known throughout history in every culture and different religions as well. Angels and demons, fairies, gnomes, and genies are classified as an inhuman spirit. Kathy, you're going to have to go on mute, sweetheart, because that's really bad. It's getting louder.
Okay, just hang on a second here. I'm going to switch my mic over.
Yeah. That's better.
Oh,
Is that
that's
better?
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my ears. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'll start that again. So, yeah, so in Human Hauntings, Lynda, have you had any experiences of this before?
Well, we've had a lot of elemental hauntings. And I don't know whether you'd classify those as inhuman. But I actually had one a while ago in an area in town that is Ontario Housing. This man had reached out to me because he was being attacked, but he didn't know exactly what he was being attacked by. And he actually appeared at my door. This was incredible. He appeared at my door with huge, big pictures of various parts of his body that had, gashes and wounds and things like that, and handed this envelope to me and said, okay, these are some of the things that have been happening to me. And ever since I moved into this particular house, I'm experiencing this activity. And he was kind of looking around. He was terrified to talk to me about it because he felt that whatever it was following him around. But the way he described it was that he would be lying in bed, and if the door to the hallway was open, he could hear the grunting noise, and he could hear claws or paws hitting the floor and running up the stairs and coming through his doorway and jumping on him. I mean, that was absolutely inhuman. He didn't know what it was. Was it an animal? What was it? And interestingly enough, as quickly as it had started, it stopped. And he had no idea why. He came to tell me about it. And about a week after he told me about it, everything stopped. So I never really got a chance to investigate this. But that was really the first time that I'd experienced something like that being told to me. And that definitely was inhuman. And I was kind of upset that it stopped because I kind of wanted to investigate that. But yeah, that was very strange, very strange. And absolutely, I mean, if you can hear claws and grunting, and he said it was not an animal because it didn't growl or anything. It grunted almost like a human. But it was animalistic, the way that it walked. He said definitely all fours. It grunted. He said he felt kind of like hair or something graze his arm before it would attack. So what the hell was that?
Jesus.
Weird.
There is actually two, well, it's defined as two different types of inhuman hauntings. One's elemental, and the other one is the famous word that's the latest fashion, demonic. So there is a lot of parallels there. Elemental is it's more of information of it comes from like folklore legends and cultural beliefs, that kind of thing. That's what that they are based on, more so than obviously demonic. That's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that subject. But anyway, Kathy.
Well, as far as I want to say, as far as actually investigating a non-human, on an investigation, I'm trying to. There's not really a whole lot that are popping into my mind. Most of that has been probably for me where I've talked to a personal client, like not so much a paranormal client, and they're going through some things, and you can, I'm getting the vision of what it is that's within the home, if that makes any sense. Like it's more that I'm seeing what it is. And a good portion, there's been a lot of elemental activity that, I've been able to just kind of pick up on. And I suppose, to put it it's not the grays that everybody wants to talk about, or that seems to be the fashion word. Again, these are other little things that just kind of appear, whether it's that they followed somebody home, or maybe they were just part of the land. Done a lot of investing or helping people, I guess, especially if it's land here, and especially here in Alberta, we have a lot of Indigenous land or past Indigenous land. And you can kind of see a lot of the things that are happening, I guess, on that sort of element. But as far as, again, actual investigations where I would say that something was, demonic or elemental or something, that would be really hard for us to, we might have had our suspicions in something, but you're not going to get the physical evidence on that. Or we didn't get any physical evidence on that, I would say. The one is that, one that we've talked about before, it kind of went into like the portal. So I don't know if it was elemental or portal, but it was off of that, same investigation. And, it was a really interesting, definitely a very interesting investigation. But there was also intelligence in there as well. So what is it? We didn't know. And it was kind of crazy. Yeah. How about you, Peter?
By different, well, the one with the portal, we have a similar story to each other. There is for, I guess, with elemental, there's been a few over the years where I was brought up in England. I grew up in Surrey, the county Surrey, which it was kind of on the border of the Surrey countryside, and there was a lot of elemental type hauntings around that area, which dates back to like the early 9th century, with various accounts of like witches in the woods and stuff like that. And there's it even dates back to the fact there were sightings of Dick Turpin in the just up the road from where I lived as well. I don't know whether you ladies know about Dick Turpin. He was a famous highway robberman that dates back centuries ago, and he would hide in bushes, and when people used to go past on horse and cart, he'd jump out with the gun and stuff like that, and he'd say stand and deliver, and they give him you riches and stuff like that. But that kind of story dated back to my childhood. Like we'd have those conversations at school about going up by the fields and seeing seeing him on a horseback, and then there was there was cases of the headless horseman as well, which was just on the fields at the back of me as well, where I lived as well, and there was countless sightings of that over the years as well. And it was all of those, those stories that we grew up on. Was like we'd say the stories at school, around Halloween and stuff like that. It wasn't celebrated in the UK as what it was out here. If we did something at school in regard to Halloween, we'd just sit around and talk about ghost stories and stuff like that. And that's how things like that would get to where they are now in relation to the stories and stuff like that. I guess that's probably the most definitive answer, the definitive example of what we've, what I have, and all my friends I grew up with had experiences with, like elemental, those kind of things. And there was one particular one. There was a sighting of there was supposed to be a sighting of a wolf in the woods, because there was a campsite just up the road, and there was we used to go there as scouts and stuff like that, and apparently there was alleged sightings of the wolf up there, and there was a guy that supposed to have hung himself out of a tree, but there was no history, no storyline or anything like that, and it was something that a story that was relayed over and over again, like from countless generations. And we were actually camping there, and we were sitting around the campfire, and when we were kids, and we could hear what it sounded like an animal walking through. And just bear in mind that this is England. This is not Canada, where you're going to get bears. You're not going to get cougars or anything like that lurking in the bushes and stuff like that. You're not going to get any animal because, being British, we would probably kill them all anyway. We just wipe them out of civilization. But we were sitting around and you could hear like an animal with like some magnitude walking around the woods. So we got the flashlights up and we were chasing it as kids because we were carefree, and nothing there, that kind of thing. And then there was one of the guys we were with, a couple of the other kids as well. A few years later, they said that they saw the guy hanging from the tree and stuff like that. But it's all those. I guess there's some parallels there with the elemental definition of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever, again, it's nothing that I've been able to catch, on camera or audio or anything like that. It's all been, I guess, intuitively impressionable. Intuitive impression, I guess, would be the best way.
It is folklore and legend and cultural beliefs, and you don't have to always capture things in relation to that, because regardless of evidence, what we class as evidence as a picture or an EVP and stuff like that, those stories are still going to go on past, for our lives and our kids' lives and forever, kind of thing, things like that. So it's a different subject again as well. It's that, it's that those stories that you hear around a campfire, that kind of thing.
I love those stories. We get a lot of elementals up here because we have that indigenous element as well.
Yeah, we do here as well. And there's a lot of there's actually a lot in Alberta, up in the oil patches up in Alberta. A friend of mine, he worked security up in Fort Mac for probably 6 years, and they have numerous sightings of shadow figures up there, numerous, like all the time. And it's just like the norm. Like him and his colleagues and stuff like that, they would be sitting in the truck and they'd be half asleep at night because they'd be on the gates, security on the gates, and they'd hear thuds at the back of the truck, and they'd get out and it'll be, there's no one there. They're not even frightened about like wildlife up there, like bears or anything like that. Right. Because it happens so frequently. They hear bangs in the back of the truck. One particular time, Dave, my friend of mine, he said he heard the bang, got out, and the guy that was sitting by the side of him as well got out the truck at exactly the same time, and they saw this black mass jump off the back of the truck and just run away. And that has been like there's been countless stories of that up there. And you think about like Fort McMurray as it hasn't really been that thick in Aboriginal lands or anything like that.
Right.
It's more, could it be perhaps to do with the energy up there? Like with the minerals, with the oil and stuff like that? It could be that. You don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Here's I don't know much about it, but with Fort McMurray, was it more immigration that, like people from, because I know with Fort McMurray, there's a lot of people from Newfoundland. There's a lot of people that do come in from other places to work the oil patch, right? And you kind of wonder, I wonder if some of those legends from other places or countries or whatever sort of follow the people going, or the people that are immigrating to, it doesn't mean that they're, I'm not going to say something's riding on their back, but you know what I mean? It's like manifestation. If we think about it long enough, we could manifest it, which is kind of have poltergeist, right? Like that's kind of what happens with the poltergeist, but maybe it changes into sort of like that elemental. Every, Ireland might have fairies, but we have this, and it's another country has this, and it might be all the same representation of the same elemental, but they're all called different things, or have slightly different backgrounds. But if you think about it, if it's a place of a large immigration status that has a lot of immigrants from different areas, all for one purpose, they're all kind of bringing in their own traditions, their own customs, their own legends, their own which could possibly, manifest into different things.
Yeah, you believe in something long enough, it eventually manifests itself, especially with multiple people,
Yeah.
doing the same as well.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like in the Muslim religion, they have the jinn. We don't talk about genies usually in Canadian culture. Or
Yeah, the only time you talk about gin is out of a bottle.
right? Yeah.
It's true.
Or, fairies, the whole bit, like Wendigo. I mean, well, Wendigo, I guess, would be more of the, cryptoid, but even, I have friends in Jamaica that have unbelievable things, like but we have that same sort of thing here. What they would classify as something, we would probably classify it as, like I said, Wendigo or chupacabra, or have another name for it. That type of, it's just, that's what I'm thinking anyway.
So we have a question from Kelly. So I have had someone sense fairy energy on my aura once a year or two again. What could that mean? What is a shadow figure? Okay, there's probably two questions there. I don't know. What do you think, ladies, in regard to the first question?
Okay, well, I that would be really hard to answer, because that would be kind of part of a reading, I guess, itself. But as far as, fairy energy, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your past beliefs too. I mean, some people, we do have, where people have developed from elementals. There is that theory. Could be past life type of thing. It could be just the energy of, that sort of fairy type of energy. What is it, like happy? Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on which culture that you talk to, whether fairies are all that happy or not, right?
Right.
Again, it kind of just depends on where you're going, But I mean, we can definitely answer, I think, about the shadow figure.
I can speak of that.
Yeah.
So shadow figures themselves are basically a projection of energy. I use that term loosely because it has multiple meanings in different cultures. Some represent it as being a negative energy. Some just interpret it as being just a ghost itself, that something that just manifests itself, the same kind of principles as the stereotypical Casper the Friendly Ghost. There is a lot more. There's a lot more meaning to shadow figures in Aboriginal cultures, and a lot more in relation to African cultures as well. So yeah, that's basically it. There is a lot of interpretation from us guys in the field that it does carry a sense of negativity because it's black. Me personally, that dark energy is exactly the same as the white energy that I've witnessed before. I've never come across any shadow type figures that have been negative in my book.
Right. It would be more just something that is able to form itself into a solid mass.
It's basically the same thing. It's just a manifestation of energy. That's all it is, and it's representing different things, different ways in different cultures. That's probably the best way of defining it.
That's true. I've had some paranormal investigators say that shadow people are basically just energies that have a difficult time manifesting any kind of features of any kind, that they are more comfortable manifesting as shadow energy so that they don't manifest their features, or perhaps they can't. Now, the fairy energy was interesting because I have had people tell me that if someone senses fairy energy, normally it's the fae.
Right.
So if they sense that fairy energy about someone or within their aura or their essence, it could very well mean that they sense that they have ability at certain times in their life. So that could very well be what that person is telling. I think her name was Kelly, that maybe at certain times that she has more abilities, whether they're, psychic abilities or the ability to be more intuitive. I sense that that's probably what they were talking about. That fairy energy could be the fae. That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you, guys. We've gone over again. We were supposed to do an hour, but I kind of, it's thank you everyone that participated as well. Really appreciate it. And if you guys are watching us on Facebook, please subscribe to our channel. And I'm just going to give us a quick blurb of our new book. It's our book, our new book. If I can find the screen. So this is mine and Jason's latest book. It's the I Want to Believe an Investigator's Archives. A series of collections of seasoned paranormal investigators telling us their stories, how they got into the field, their favorite ghost stories in relation to their experiences, and there's a couple of Bigfoot investigators on there as well, and a UFOologist in there as well. All very good friends of mine that I've met in the field over the past 15 to 20 years. So if you guys are interested, you can purchase it on Amazon. Great Christmas gift for yourself.
It's an excellent book. If I was to show you my copy, you'd be like, "Oh, Kathy, what'd you do to that book?" It's all like,
oh yeah,
I got the cover all like.
We should take that offline.
Earmarks on the thing.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you next week. Wait till you see it. You're going to be like, "Oh, you've been reading that book a lot, eh?"
Yeah, good cover up that one. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will be on next week, and we have a guest on next week, and so stay tuned. We'll be back on next Friday at 6 p.m. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.